So even though it's the middle of winter, it's full noise up here at Plimmerton Farm. We've been and had a look at all the different fill sites, the cut fill operation that Goodman's is currently running, the waste detention tank that they're building. The reservoir site is coming along. It's had all the formwork put in, all the steel works in, and they're just getting ready to pour that towards the end of the month. And then they'll start bringing in the precast concrete panels, and they'll start forming the sides of that reservoir. So where I'm standing now is the original level of the paddocks, which were quite low lying to start with. We've come through and we've started earthworking because we're going to put Road 1, which is our main entrance in through to Plimmerton Farm from James Street, down below Moe Street. We're putting that road through now. Last month when we were having a look, we were doing an undercut to the road. What that means is this area through here that we're looking at now, it was the underlying subgrade was a lot of peat. So what we had to do was actually dig that peat out and then build the road back up on top of that from the original ground, so the nice hard ground. So we dig the peat out, and then on top of that we build it back up with this material here. So as you can see, we've come up a good 4 or 5 meters. We've built that up with rock, with cloth and geotextile to give us a nice solid base to build our main road through. Just over here to my left, you can sort of see some of that peat we were digging out. This is a really good example of what that peat is. So we basically everywhere we cut, we'll then come through, hydroseed or stabilise the ground as we go. Now, one of the interesting things to note with this road as we go along, you'll see this fabric on top of this positive edge. The positive edge prevents any of the water running off into areas that were not earthworking. The fabric on top, what that does is that stops any water that's hitting it further eroding that positive edge and putting any sediment into any areas that we don't want it. So what they've done is they've come through, they've pinned this cloth, which is quite a thick woven cloth, and that just instantly gives protection to those areas that are going to be prone to erosion. Not just single silt fences, but we have double silt fences, and then we even have super silt fences, which are even bigger than these. This will stop any of that sediment, so the water stops up against here, allows the sediment to drop, but then we've got 2 of them there. So not all of the fences are doubles, but any high value areas we use double silt fences or super silt fences as we go. With the break in the weather, the Goodman's teams are throwing everything at this fill at the moment. We've got both scrapers and dumpers operating. They're operating in different cut sites. The dumpers are taking from a road we're constructing in an SRP 15, which is going to be a future fill site, so they're doing a cut over there. And then we've got the scrapers on the other side as they're moving material, they're cutting it and they're bringing it over to this fill area over here and dumping. So we've got them both working at the same time, working in with each other, which is why we had the radios. They're constantly communicating with each other, letting know who's on the road. And then behind them the whole time we've got the D9, and he's just maintaining this road as they go. But you'll notice, and this is one of the really interesting things with earthworks, just throwing machines and men at it doesn't necessarily fix it. You're always going to have choke points, so it becomes economies of scale. Here we've only got 1 track in and 1 track out, and as you can see, the machines are still having to wait for one another. So 4 or 5 more machines isn't going to make this go any quicker. You've still got to be safe, but they've really maximised the opportunity. They've got everything running they can at the moment, and that's why it's filling so quickly. That's why we're using that ejector dumper and not the tipper. Well, it's allowing him to do it while he's still moving, but he's not lifting that big tipper, taking him off balance. So it's a far safer machine to be using with this sort of operation. Now this is the wastewater detention and the pump station. You can see over the back corner there, that was that soft area they've dug out. So they had to undercut that, dig down to good material, and then build it back up. They've got what they call a tidy slab just around the outside. That just gives them a clean working environment to then go through and put the concrete ring foundation on. And then once that's all poured, they'll bring the concrete panels down from Otaki where they've been made and they're curing, and they'll use the creeper crane and they'll stand those up to form a detention tank. So they're just working away at that now, and by the looks of it, they're just finishing it off before they lay that next slab. That is probably one of the biggest pieces of rebar we've ever seen, and there's tons of it. I'm up here at the Reservoir site at Plimmerton Farms. We've just been talking with Jeff from Fulton Hogan. He's been explaining to us the post-tension slab that they're creating up here for the Reservoir site. Now, as you look across the slab, you're going to see what looks like a silver lattice over the top. That's actually the conduits for the tensioning cable that runs through, and I'll show you a piece of that cable. That cable's tensioned, so this is a post-tension slab. That'll be tensioned 24 hours after the pour, and then further another 7 days after the pour. That puts the whole slab under compression, which is hopefully going to minimise any potential of cracking. There's a whole lot of formwork that's been completed. We're looking to pour the slab probably towards the end of the month, early August. Once that's poured, it's been tensioned and cured, we're then going to bring in the concrete panels which have been built up in Otaki, and they're going to form the edge or the surrounds of the tank. So this is how the post-tensioning cable comes in these big coils made up of 7 strands of wire woven together. These will run through the slab as a lattice, and they'll be post-tensioned once the slab's been poured to put it all under compression. So even though we're not going to be developing this end of the development for probably 10 or 15 years at least, we're doing that planting program now. Adam, the fences come through, he's fenced all of those areas, or a lot of those areas. What that's doing is it's keeping any of the stock that we're running out of the sensitive areas, out of the wetlands, out of any of the new areas that we're planting. So to give you an idea, the whole site's about 380 hectares. We're enhancing and planting about 1/3 of that back into native bush. So it's quite a, whilst there's going to be a lot of houses up here, there's also going to be a heck of a lot more bush. And we're going to retire a lot of that farming into bush early on.
Yeah, I'm just mixing up all the plants to, there's 50 in each bin, and then I got to drive them around to get planted. Yeah.
So how many guys you got up the top planting at the moment?
There's 4 of them plus Aaron.
Yeah.
Today.
4 plus Aaron. So you just got to keep them fed with plants.
Yeah, I've just got to keep them fed. One guy is doing over 1,000 a day.
He's doing 1,000 plants a day?
Yeah, he'll be doing like probably 1,500 today, I'd say.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is one of the plants here.
Yep.
And then they've got, that's one plant, and we're planting 70,000 of these this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is how they come. But if that gives you an idea of what 50 looks like, we're doing 70,000 this year alone. And they're doing it with a team of 6, so it's a lot of work. So July's been absolutely flat out. We're looking forward to August. We've got a lot coming on. Make sure you subscribe if you want to watch our future updates. We look forward to telling you what's going on next month.